Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into another recruiting throwback video. I tried to find some of the most absolute irrelevant five-star recruits. If you remember every one of these guys, you're an expert. There's no way. These guys are completely irrelevant. Whether it's, some legal issue or just not producing, these are former five-star recruits you will not believe actually existed. I tried to throw in a few modern ones. It's a little tougher to do the more modern ones, but I think I've got about 9 of them. So let's get into it. The first guy we're going to be talking about, Kenny Bigelow Jr., a big boy defensive tackle from the state of Delaware. One of the only five-star players ever from Delaware. The number 9 overall player goes to USC. Very interesting decision going from Delaware to USC. You can take a look at his college career. Didn't play as a freshman. He played a little bit as a sophomore, got 3 sacks. Junior year, I believe he was injured. Then he played as a senior and then grad transferred actually to West Virginia, back home, or at least near where he's from. So Kenny Bigelow Jr., the number 9 overall player, 4 career total sacks, 8 total tackles for loss, and 32 total tackles overall. He is unfortunately a big bust. You expect the number 9 overall player. You're going to need a little bit more production than that. But I tried looking up his pro career. I randomly found this rogue PFF profile they've got of him on the Saints, but that's the only thing I could find with Kenny. I couldn't find a single thing when it came to his pro career, so I'm guessing he signed with the Saints as an undrafted free agent and then kind of just got cut at some point. I do not believe he's played a single NFL snap to this day, so he's on the list of irrelevant five-star recruits. The next guy we're going to be talking about, it's a pass rusher, Darius Hamilton, the five-star that actually committed to Rutgers University. Of course, you figure he is from New Jersey. He goes to Rutgers. I believe this is like one of 2 5-stars that Rutgers has, ever landed in their team history. The number 21 overall player, the number 2 overall pass rusher from the class of, I believe, 2014 or 2015, and the number 1 overall player in the state of New Jersey. His overall numbers at Rutgers, not very impressive. He did have a decent 2014 season with 6 total sacks. He was injured and then got a redshirt year. As a redshirt senior, he had just 1 half sack. Kind of interesting. He had 54 total tackles his senior season, but just half a sack. As a former 5-star, that's not production you really want. Darius Hamilton, there you guys can see. Overall, he was undrafted, and it doesn't look like he signed on with any NFL team. He did appear to play for the Salt Lake Stallions in 2019, so there you go. Good for him. You can take a look at this. I found this interesting thing on Wikipedia described as the gem of the highest rated recruiting class in Rutgers history. Hamilton was the only true freshman in the regular rotation on offense or defense in 2012. He was named captain for the 2014 junior season. Hamilton injured his knee on September 27th, 2015. That's one day before my birthday, causing him to miss the remainder of the season. He returned to Rutgers for a 5th year. As I referenced, a redshirt year. This guy was supposed to be a franchise-type pass rusher for Rutgers, bring Rutgers University back, but he played in some of the darkest times. Rutgers, we remember them, how bad they were when they joined the Big Ten. They're kind of getting out of it. Maybe they can go 6-6, 5-7 this year with Greg Schiano back in town. We will see, but he is definitely on the list. The next 5-star recruit you wouldn't believe existed, RUSHEL, the number 32 overall player, so barely a 5-star, but he did make it as an all-purpose back from the state of Pennsylvania. He committed to Pitt, and he was the number 3 overall all-purpose back, the number 2 player in the state of Pittsburgh. He only spent 1 single year at Pittsburgh. That was his true freshman season. And something very interesting about his overall numbers, look at his yards per carry. 4.5, 4.5, 4.4, 4.5 Yeesh. He actually did have 24 career touchdowns, but that average yards per carry, that's just not going to get it done. Like I was saying, he was a true freshman at Pitt. He ends up transferring to West Virginia, but he had to sit out a year with that transfer rule. A lot of people forget that players really, compared to the freedom they have now with the NLI, with the immediate eligibility, players were getting royally screwed compared to what they're getting right now. So 2012 as a freshman, he plays at Pitt. He goes to transfer and he has to sit out an entire year and appears next for West Virginia. Another 5-star recruit transferring to West Virginia. Very interesting. They also got JT Daniels. West Virginia, they seem to be getting a lot of guys, but he transfers to West Virginia, and it's just, there's nothing there. He has a few years with 700 yards, but the yards per carry, it's abysmal. Anything under 5 yards per carry for a running back in college is really, really below average. I know a lot of people are used to the NFL. 4.5 yards isn't that bad, but I'm a college football fan. I know you're averaging 4.5 yards per carry and you get like 100 carries. That is not good. I did find this interesting article, Blue Chip Recruit to Blue Collar Dad, how RUSHEL has adjusted to life after football. Good for him. And you know what? He'll always have the fact that he was a former 5-star. You gotta love that. His overall career statistic, you can say undrafted in 2017. He did latch onto the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad, didn't appear in a single NFL game, has not played in a snap, and did also play for Calgary in some, maybe that's some sort of Canadian league there. So he also is on the list of completely irrelevant 5-stars. The next guy we're going to be talking about is ISHAQ Williams, the former 5-star number 26 overall player, outside linebacker from the state of New York, the number 3 overall linebacker in the country. He commits to Notre Dame, and you can take a look at his career at Notre Dame. This kid had some major off-the-field academic issues. Take a look at his overall career. 6 total tackles for loss, 1 career sack. I believe he transitioned into being a pass rusher, if I remember that correctly. But you can see this little tidbit here. He lost his NCAA appeal and did not play in 2015. Williams was one of 5 players suspended last August as part of Notre Dame's investigation into academic dishonesty. So he got suspended. You can see he was undrafted in 2016. He did latch on with the New York Giants through the 2016-2017 season. It says Williams was signed by the Giants as an undrafted free agent in May of 2016. He was waived by the Giants right before week 1 of the 2016 season during final roster cuts and was signed to the practice squad. He was promoted to the active roster December 16th, 2016, but he ended up getting waived. I don't know if he actually appeared in a game. He ended up getting waived and was placed on injured reserve. February 2018, Williams was waived due to a failed physical. Oh no. So Williams dealing with the academic issues, a former 5-star, very little production. A lot of people probably don't remember him even being a 5-star or even know who he is. That's why I'm doing this video. It's a fun little video. The next guy we're going to talk about, the next 5-star, this one is more modern. And some of you guys who have been following recruiting for a few years probably heard of him as a recruit. It's going to be Joseph Lewis, who was the number 31 overall player, so just made the 5-star cut from the state of California, from Los Angeles. He ends up going to USC during the Clay Helton era. Number 4 overall receiver, number 6 player in the state of California. When I searched up his name, this is what I was met with. Yeah, that's never a good sign when you see stuff like that. But then I looked him up again, and I saw something even worse. TMZ, former USC receiver Joseph Lewis, released from jail after 6 months in a domestic violence case. And you can take a look at his college stats. He appeared in 4 games as a true freshman, caught 4 passes for 39 yards, and he is out of football. Former USC receiver Joseph Lewis arrested on suspicion of domestic violence. That happened in July of 2018, so after his true freshman season. This dude looked like a beast. You see some pictures of this guy. He looked like a man, looked like he was going to be a superstar receiver. The name Joseph Lewis is such a great name for a receiver, but it just didn't work out for him. Obviously dealing with significant off-the-field issues in his career. 4 catches in 4 games for 39 yards. He's someone you wouldn't think would exist. The next guy, this guy actually did appear in the NFL. It's going to be Derek Rogers, the number 15 overall player, the number 3 overall receiver from his class, the state of Georgia. He was out of it. He was actually the number 1 overall player from the state of Georgia. Commits to Tennessee, even before NLI existed. I'm just kidding. But you can take a look at his freshman and sophomore season. Really nice sophomore season, over 1,000 yards. Take a look at the yards per catch. 15 yards per catch each year. 9 touchdowns in his sophomore season. He did deal with significant off-the-field issues, both at Tennessee and in the NFL. It says former Tennessee wide receiver Derek Rogers arrested for a DUI. Rogers has a history with legal troubles dating back to his time in Knoxville. As a sophomore at Tennessee in 2011, the Georgia native led the SEC in catches and receiving yards. That is impressive. That's very impressive. However, Rogers was dismissed the following season after failing multiple drug tests and transferred to Tennessee Tech, the FCS school. Who would have thought? The 23-year-old went undrafted in 2013. You can take a look at his overall career there. He did play with the Bills and the Colts, and I believe the only team he ended up taking an NFL snap for was the Colts. He was on both the Bills and the Chiefs practice squad. Former first-team All-SEC in 2011 as a sophomore. That's impressive, man. It is. It's unfortunate, the DUI issues. You can take a look at his career at Indianapolis. He appeared in 5 games, started 3 of them, 192 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, not bad production if you're like a number 3 receiver, in the NFL as a rookie. But overall, he had some off-the-field issues. And then I also saw this interesting article, what Derek Rogers transferring to Tennessee Tech means for his draft stock. It didn't mean much of anything. He went undrafted. He ended up going undrafted. And the final guy we're going to be looking at, Jeff Luck, who was an inside linebacker out of the state of Florida, number 26 overall player, number 2 overall linebacker, clear 5-star, number 4 player in the state of Florida. He commits to FSU. This dude had no homo, this dude had an impressive body. This is a physically, you look at this dude and you realize he was a former 5-star. You can see it right away, just by the way he looks. But at Florida State, he plays 2 seasons there, doesn't really get much traction, 0 sacks, 3 total tackles for loss, ends up transferring, having to sit out a year, of course, and then goes to Cincinnati, where, you know what? Let's give him some credit for his senior season. 6.5 sacks. That's not too bad. 133 total tackles. This dude was playing as a linebacker. He was getting a lot of playing time as a senior. His overall NFL career, I couldn't find a single stat when I went to his football reference page, so I'm just going to assume he went undrafted. And the most recent report on him, we've got the Billings Outlaws signing him. So good, that's great news in 2022, March 31st. So that just happened, and we wish him luck on the Billings Outlaws. You can take a look at his overall career. All of those NFL teams he was with, he was a practice squad member. That's because it has a little asterisk next to it. He went undrafted in 2015, and he's with the Dolphins, the Saints, the Bengals, the Jets, all of those teams. He played on their practice squad. But you look at this dude, and he is a physically imposing individual. An impressive specimen. Really impressive specimen. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Just going over some 5-stars you wouldn't believe exist. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.